go ahead and get started here. My name is Matt Slater. I am the Education Program Manager here at Pop Culture Classroom. Turn this down here real quick. So yeah, I'm the Education Program Manager at Pop Culture Classroom. I love video games, and if you're familiar with Pop Culture Classroom, you might know that we are all about finding the educational value and content in all kinds of pop culture media, including video games, right? Just because you're playing video games during the summer doesn't mean that you're wasting time or that it's just escapism. You can be learning all kinds of stuff, and in this case, really flexing creativity skills. This is great for kids that want to know just like the bare bones basic of game design, right? And I think it's clear that we need to make it clear that we're talking about design here. We're not talking about code or programming. Lots goes into creating video games. So Mario Maker's a great tool for just teaching like, what makes something fun? What makes a game fun? How do you lead people to secret areas? How do you create visual interest and kind of usher a player in a certain direction? So those are some of the things that we'll be talking about how to utilize Mario Maker. So Super Mario Maker, if you're unfamiliar, first came out in 2015 on the Nintendo Wii U console. Not that many people owned it, so if you've never heard about it, don't worry. But it came out there, and it was a tool for people to create their own 2D side-scrolling Mario levels. Not anything 3D, so nothing like, Super Mario 64 or Super Mario Odyssey, strictly 2D side-scrolling levels. And it was a real revolution because no one had been able to create Mario levels like that. There are game creation tools out there. RPG Maker is one that's been around for a while. But this is specifically a Nintendo property. So people got really, really excited at all the possibilities. And when they released it, people were using the tools of the game in ways that the developers never kind of anticipated and created all these really unique ways of using Mario tools. And we'll look at some of those today too. So you had the original game in 2015. They released a version on the 3DS. So, if your kids own a 3DS handheld or if you own a 3DS, there is a version of the game available there. It's not as fully functioning. So, for example, the console versions, you can download levels that other people have created and upload your levels. Unfortunately, that's not available on the 3DS, but you can still create your own levels. And then we got Super Mario Maker 2 here on the Nintendo Switch. And many, many people have Nintendo Switches. So a lot more people are getting to play it now. So before we get into more of the details, I want to show you guys this video. It came out in 2015 at E3, and it is the creator of Super Mario Brothers talking about, so if anyone in the chat can name that creator real quick without a Google. Also known for creating The Legend of Zelda, Donkey Kong, lots of those franchises. We're going to watch a video talking about what inspired the creation of Mario Maker here. Anybody got it? Anybody got his name yet?
We've been working together for 30 years now. If there's 3 ideas presented to both of us, we pick the same one.
As the years went on and we made more and more side-scrolling games, we had to create a more advanced tool to design them with. This became the basis of Super Mario Maker.
The tool got so good that the more we worked with it, the more we realized we could also turn it into something everyone could enjoy. With Super Mario Maker, anytime you make an edit, you can see the results right away. This instant feedback can really help your imagination run wild.
Back in the day, we had to create everything by hand. To design courses, we would actually draw them one at a time onto these sheets of graph paper. We'd then hand our drawings to the programmers, who would code them into a build. While digging up these old documents, we found this. It's very precious. When we first thought of the idea of Super Mario Brothers, we had a concept of land, air, and sea. See this old sketch of Mario throwing fireballs from a moving cloud? You can now do that in Super Mario Maker. You can even control where the cloud flies.
In the old days, when we needed to fix or change part of the course, it would get really messy if we tried to edit the original drawing. So we'd put this see-through paper on top to make edits.
A lot of things might look familiar, but you can combine various elements from the different games to create entirely new stuff. Like stacking different enemies on top of each other to make a huge tower, and then putting a bullet bill on top. You can even put things we've never placed underwater. Right, there are some enemies that don't normally appear underwater, like Goombas. When you put one underwater in Super Mario Maker, it will swim like a small shrimp. Mario can even take on the appearance of other characters. Tap a compatible amiibo, like Wii Fit Trainer, and Mario can turn into Wii Fit Trainer when he gets a mystery mushroom. It's called Costume Mario. We have a lot of these planned. To celebrate Super Mario's 30th anniversary, we're releasing an 8-bit amiibo. When you use it, your Mario...
All right, so that was just kind of a little bit of background information on Mario Maker and how it was created. One of the things that always really sticks out to me that I never thought about or realized was how they used to draw their levels out on graph paper, right? Like actually physically draw them out and then hand them to the designers. So when I was teaching elementary school and I was teaching gifted and talented classes, we would talk about that. And that was a good way for them to those who might be interested in video games and video game design, kind of talk about, you know, in younger terms, the difference between a programmer and a designer, right? So we talked about how the designer is the person who thinks up the ideas and draws up the concepts and thinks about how the level's going to go. Then you have your programmer, right? And your programmer is the person who actually codes that into the computer and makes your ideas come to life. So what we did in my classroom, we actually used Super Mario Maker 2 as a project where they created their own Mario levels. So I'm going to show you guys this slideshow here, or just a couple photos. So I would let them play around, you know, because you've got limited tools. You can't give every kid a Switch, right? But I would take my console into the school, and you know, each team, they worked in teams, and they each got a few minutes to play with the tools in the game itself, with the actual game console, to kind of figure out what the different things did, right? And then what I would have them do is actually, just like the designers in the 1980s, go and create this on graph paper. And so what that did is that made them really think about what they were going to put into their level before they put it there. And it was a great way to kind of get them thinking and get them working on that project. So then they would hand me their designs. And I would be the programmer and actually put their levels into the game for them. And so then they could play test it, revise their level, and then kind of go through that problem solving process that an actual game designer might go through of testing and refining, right? So Mario Maker is so good for all of those type of critical thinking processes, and those problem solving projects as well. So I'm looking at my agenda here. So I kind of want to show you just a little bit about how Mario Maker works in the game itself, and some of the tools that you have. So Mario Maker, we're going to go ahead and get started here. There's two main functions: to make levels and to play levels. So when you go to the make screen, and we'll go more into detail about everything on the screen and how it works, but this is where you're actually going to make your levels. It's really easy. You just kind of drag and drop pieces. The Nintendo Switch, if you're unfamiliar, can be handheld or on the TV. When it's handheld, you have a touch screen. It is much, much easier to actually design your levels using the touch screen. I cannot stream my game and do that at the same time, so I will be using a controller today. I'm hoping that... sorry, I didn't realize that was still there. I'm hoping that I don't hit too many wrong buttons, because it does take a little practice when you're using the controller to edit your levels. Today, I'm using this guy right here. This is my Super Nintendo style Switch controller. I dig it because I'm a nerd, and the buttons all feel exactly the same as the old school Super Nintendo controller, down to the D-pad, the button presses, all kinds of things. So you have your making screen. Like I said, we'll go into more detail on this later, but this is where you're going to do your level making. And then once, at any point during your making process, you can just press play. And so you can start playing the level in its current form. You can test some things out and see what might need some fixing and where there might need to be some adjustments or what's actually broken in your game, right? Did you create something that Mario cannot, a platform that Mario cannot actually get on? So we'll talk more about the making here in a minute. So that's one function, is to make. And then the other function is to play. And that's where you can do some really cool stuff. So over here, we have a couple things on our screen. We have Course Maker, World Maker, Story Mode, and Course World. So Course Maker is, of course, where we're going to make our courses. And then we have our Course Bot over here. This is where you can save all the courses that you've made and go back to them and edit them at any time. People get really into this and make some super complex levels. And so it takes them days, if not weeks, to make some of these. So this is where you can keep all your saved levels. And then you can also store downloaded courses, which we'll get to here in just a sec. We'll talk about World Maker. Essentially what you need to know about it is that in many Mario games, starting with Super Mario 3 into Super Mario World and so on, your levels are joined by worlds. And so that's where we can kind of join our levels into worlds. We have Story Mode, and then we have Course World. So if we go to Course World, this is where you can find games from people all over the world. What you do is once you create a level, you can upload it to the internet, and it gives it a specific ID number. So, let's say I created a game and I want my best friend to give me some feedback on it. I can just send him that ID number. Oh, that's right. I'm not connected to the internet. So basically what you can see here is, yeah, I can show you here, actually. So you can see the creator, the person that made it. You see a whole bunch of stats about the people, how many times it's cleared, the rate of how many people actually cleared it, because some of these levels get insanely hard. And then the course ID, I don't see it right here. Oh, there it is. It's a series of numbers and letters. And so again, if I wanted someone to play my level, I could just send them the course ID, or you could put it up on the internet for anyone to see and anyone to play. And you can actually get feedback on people's levels here in the game. And we'll take a look at that here in a little bit. So you can create your own levels. You can upload them for other people to test and play, or give codes to your friends to test and play. And then you can also download your friends' levels and play them and test them out as well. You cannot edit a course that you've downloaded, though. So, if I download somebody else's course, I can't go in and start fiddling with that level. It is going to be as is, out of respect to, obviously, the creators there. All right. So that's kind of the things that you can create and make and share. One of the things I want to show you here is actually story mode. It is a game creation tool, but there is a story mode, and it's incredibly helpful, actually. So earlier when I showed you the making screen, you could see all the tools, right? And I didn't even get into the really large plethora of tools that you can use. But for a lot of people, you could always test those tools out and see, what it does yourself. But some people might not want to use something that they're unfamiliar with, right? Especially a kid. If they don't know how something works, they may not be inclined to use it or test it out. Story mode is an ingenious way of teaching you what each of those design components do. So you go over here, your main objective, you can see that this is Peach's Castle here. Peach's Castle was accidentally deleted, and so we are in the process of rebuilding Peach's Castle. We have to do jobs in order to collect coins and rebuild the castle. So that's what I'm doing here is I'm selecting a job. So you get this job board. Each job you get paid for doing it, as well as any of the coins that you collect in it. But each one of these jobs is teaching the player about a tool in the game. So for example, let's go to job number 2, on-off switch research expedition. We're going to play this level here. I'm going to turn up our volume on the game. Yeah, here we go. I love video games. It doesn't mean I'm always great at them. Don't laugh at me. All right. So, Super Mario Bros. 1 is kind of known for World 1-1. The very first level is just like a a masterclass in video game design and teaching the player what to do. And this works exactly the same way. So I go here, I'm a brand new player. I don't know anything about Mario. I see that I cannot get to this question block up here, right? Even if I go to this platform, I still can't quite get it. But I see as soon as I click this on button, or this switch, it changes my platforms, right? And so now I can get to the question mark block. So for someone who's new to making Mario levels, who's maybe never played Mario Maker before, what they're learning right now is what a switch block does and different ways that you can implement it. So here I realize I can't go up there. If I do that, I'm going to get hurt, right? You know, can't jump there. So I got to go back. I got to do the switch block. And then now all of a sudden, I'm going to learn more and more ways. See, now I'm learning that I can use the switch block to block in enemies, right? I can trap enemies with my switch block. We've got another one. And I can trap enemies in a different way. And I'm learning a little bit about risk reward here, right? I could go get those coins right there, but if I flip this switch, I then also have to deal with my Bow Wow over here. Oh, see, might have just learned a lesson there. And again, this on-off switch is just one of many, many, many different components that you can use to build your Mario levels. But the story mode is a great way for kids just to play and then kind of get an idea. I got some intrigue right here because I'm not exactly sure how to get down there, right? That might be something I have to come back to later. Secret warp pipe. Always check for those. All right, this is pretty unique, right? So the star comes out. I have to figure out what to do with it, right? So again, this is just another example of a different way that you can use that same tool in your game design to change things up. Oh, and I missed it. Let's see if we can do it one more time. All right, and boop. Nope, nope. Okay. Huzzah. All right, now that, okay, see, we needed that, right? So had I not, let's say I never played Mario before, I didn't know you could go down a warp pipe, those enemies there would have just basically forced me to try and go down. Another way to use the same tool. Whoop. All right, that's actually good. I want to show you guys something real quick here. Another kind of way that this game is really accessible to especially younger kids. Actually, it's already available. So let's say you're finding that this is too hard. I'm really struggling to get through this level. Down in the lower left-hand corner, you can see where it says pause and parts. So by pressing my select button, it gives me a couple of parts. This is almost like a light version of the building menu from before. So this is getting me familiar with how to add new things to my level, right? So this is too hard for me. Let's just add a power-up mushroom. So I'm going to select my power-up mushroom, and then I can add it here on the grid. This is, again, a preview of how making actually works. And now I've kind of figured out how adding power-ups can make my experience a little bit easier and kind of balance if we find that it's too difficult. Can't go that way. Gotta get my star. All right, so you guys kind of get the idea here. These story modes, all about teaching you how to use different parts. Yes, I will give up. I don't promote that, but I will in this case. Different ways to use all these different tools. All right, let's see here. So I told you earlier that you could download levels, and that really adds a lot of replay value to this game. So, your kids can be constantly downloading other people's levels and getting ideas. And then as well, there's also multiplayer in every level, which is great. So if your kids wanted to play together, or if you wanted to play along with somebody, every single one of these levels, you can actually have 4 different characters running around the same time. So if you've ever played some of the more recent new Super Mario Brothers games, where you've got all 4 characters playing together, you can download, you can play any level that way or download levels to play that way as well. All right. So let's go ahead and get into some, oh, nope. get into some building here. So the first thing I want to show you, let's see, if we go to Course Maker, when you decide that you're ready to start building levels, it always gives you kind of a blank slate to start with. It might have a few things filled in, or in this case, it's actually starting me with the last level that I built. And I can erase it. My last level's saved, so I can erase this with no worries. So to start from a really fresh screen, you're going to go over here to the right. You're going to go down to this rocket, and that's going to reset your entire screen. Starting with a blank slate. Okay? So what we're seeing here, so across the top, you've got your palette, is what they call it. And that is all the tools that you can use to create things. So I can go up to my palette, I can grab a block here, and then I can go to my grid and just choose a block to place it in, right? It makes it really easy to know where things go because pretty much everything, except for a few certain enemies, take up one block. And, you know, I can grab something else here. I can grab one of these guys. And then I can, again, using the controller is not as easy as using the touchscreen. Okay, there we go. I can add him in wherever I would like him. I can move him around, right? A lot of these tools, there's multiple options too. So you can click on a tool, hold it down, and then you have different things that you can do to that tool to kind of modify it. So this one, I can add some wings to. And what happens when I add some wings to this block? Let's see. All of those blocks stay there, and then that one can fly around. And I can see that instantly just by pressing the select button. So really easy to kind of test out what everything does and feel it out for yourself. And that's not all the tools you can use. You know, these are like 10 or so up here. These are just the last 10 that you've used. So if I go over here to my search, you're presented with many, many different options about the different tools that you can include here. So we've got our terrain tools, right? Your slopes, your grounds, your mushroom platforms, all kinds of different options. Then you've got your items. So your Yoshi egg, if you wanted to include the Yoshi in a level. You've got your flower petals, your fire flower. This red key coin is one of those where, like, if you have a locked door, you have to collect all of the keys in order to get through the locked door. Your enemies, you've got a few different pages of enemies. And then you have what they call gizmos, which are kind of your obstacles that are in the way, doors, keys, spinning fire things, your vines that can grow up. So anything that you've really seen in a 2D Mario game, you can use it here with very few restrictions. And we'll talk about a few of those in a minute. But again, like with most of these items, you can modify them somehow. So for example, if I just pick up a regular super mushroom, right? And let's say I want to place the super mushroom right here for Mario to get immediately. Let's see. No? There we go. Yes, I want the super mushroom. I don't want it. Oh, I guess it won't let. It's too early for me to put it there. So yeah, this is like, since this is the beginning of the level, that's a no-no spot. You cannot put any items there. So anyway, if I had put that mushroom there, I can then select it, and then I can modify it again. We saw what the wings do. I can give it a parachute, which means, let's say if I put it here and then started the game, it would just kind of fall down. Let's see, other things. If I go up here and grab, let's say I grab a Koopa and put a Koopa down here, I can modify him to have a red shell. I can make him a giant Koopa. I can also put wings on him. Right, and so there's all these different variations that you can do with lots of these different objects. So you've got your palette, all your different tools that you can put in. Let's see here. Let's go back to our edit screen. There's a lot of other cool things you can do here. You can add sound effects. I'll show you what those look like in a little bit. You can also change the game style, and this is one of the coolest things to me. So right now, this is New Super Mario Bros. U. That's the Mario game that this is kind of modeled after. I can also change it to Super Mario World. Right? So now it looks like the Super Nintendo version of Mario. Notice that none of my tools changed. All of my tools are still there. You can change the style of the game without changing anything that you've actually put into the game. I can make it look like Super Mario Bros. 3 from the NES. right? We're in the castle setting, so that's what you're seeing right now. Or, of course, I can make it look like the original Super Mario Brothers. Now, there's one other style here, Super Mario World, that you'll see down here at the bottom. I'll show you what that looks like real quick. This one is the one style that will affect your gameplay. This is almost like a bonus mode. The tools that you use in Super Mario 3D World cannot be used in any of the other versions. So that's why that one's kind of separately. It's not interchangeable with the others. It's kind of its own set of tools. You've got clear tubes that you can crawl through. You can turn Mario into a cat. And he can climb up trees and walls. Very cool. We're not going to talk too much about it today. Super Mario World happens to be one of my favorite styles, so we'll stick with that one. You can also change the settings. So right now we're in Bowser's Castle, right? You can change it to your standard above ground setting. You can change it to a forest setting, which offers a couple of little, if you just saw that little boat pop up over there, it offers its own kind of intricacies, right? But you can customize this in all sorts of ways. I can make my level auto scroll, right? So it can move on its own, kind of giving me a time function to, it puts me under the pressure that I have to move so fast, because if I get to the edge of the screen, I'm going to die. Or auto scroll none. It's just like the screen moves when you do. You can customize the timer, and you can also customize the clear condition. So right now, since I don't have anything on my game, it's basically you're get to the end of the level and you've beaten it, right? You can change it to be like, you have to collect 30 coins before you can beat the level. You have to defeat these two specific enemies before you can beat the level. And that really adds some very unique elements to the game. And then another cool thing that I'll show you here is that you can actually create together. So if you have two kids, or if it's a date night and you want to make a Mario game together, this button over here, this co-op making, allows two people to work on their making screen at the same time. The only kind of caveat here is that you have to use the Joy-Con controllers. So those are the small controllers that come with the Nintendo Switch. They're stuck on the side of it. You're required to use those, but it is a cool function if two people want to collaborate and kind of cut the time in half it takes to actually make a level. It's definitely a lot quicker making levels using the touchscreen, where you can just drag and drop. Using this guy right here, it definitely takes a little bit longer. So then if I hit start, there's some cool resources here for anyone who's looking to make a level. This is Yamamura's Dojo, and it's essentially a bunch of tutorials about all the different tools. And so it is divided into beginner, intermediate, and advanced lessons. And I'll just kind of show you what it looks like. These are a great opportunity to work on reading comprehension with the kid that you're playing with. If you guys are playing together, they've never played before, you're trying to introduce them to the game, you can have them read this out loud and make sure that they're actually understanding and comprehending all the things that they're reading, right? So this is just the intro to making. So it's presented as still videos. Personally, as an educator, I wish they were interactive. I think that would be more helpful, but they're videos that you can watch, and they illustrate how to use different items here on the making screen. So if you get confused or if you forget how to do something, you can always go back here to your tutorials. Super handy function for your kids. All right, so we kind of all know, let me make sure I haven't missed anything that I wanted to point out. Oh, yeah, so I will point out one more thing here. So we showed that you can make individual levels. The other thing you can do is you can link those levels together to make worlds. So that's what World Maker is. So here you're given the top down. If you've ever played a 2D Mario game before, you know that, all these little areas right here is where an individual level might be. So what I can do is I can go up here to my levels. Let's say I want to pick a level that I created. Let's see, and I want to put it right here. So now, this is my first test level. That's a level that I made. I can put that right there, right? And then, I want to put a little extra life house over here. And then maybe I want to add a second level over here. My second test level. Okay, you can change the icons for these as well. You know, if it's a water level or a desert level, you can note that. If it's a boo house, you can note that. And then, so this would be my first world, right? I would put populate it with my levels. And then I can add another one. So essentially what you can do now is instead of just making Mario levels and individual levels, you can create your entire own game with multiple worlds with multiple levels within each world. And you can even change the theme for these worlds. So let's say I wanted one to be, let's see, in space, right? And so then I can put another level that I haven't used yet here. Notice these are blacked out because I've used them for a different world, right? So put that one there. All right, and I'm not going to fill this out completely, but if I wanted to play, so let's go back to my first world. So now I'll hit play, and I get to test out my creation here. So this was the level that I put here. So I can go ahead and play that level. This is not good, y'all. This was just me messing around with the tools a couple days ago. Don't judge me for this level. So notice this level has an auto scroll on it. The screen is moving without me moving, right? That's what I was talking about there. Woo. Now I can just pause. If I notice something while I'm playing, I can exit the course. So while you're doing your worlds, you can't edit the course immediately, but for all of your other courses that you're playing, when you pick one up to play, generally if you notice something wrong, you can just edit it right there and hop right back into it. All right, so we've kind of talked about the basic functionality of the game and most of the things that it has to offer. I want to show you guys some things that people have created using this game because, like I mentioned earlier, people have used the bare bone basics of Mario to create some really outstanding stuff. So we're going to go to my core spot. These are going to be levels that I've already searched the internet for and downloaded. You know, you can always go into the kind of search platform here in the game and search for things that way. There's lots of filters you can use. Like I only want to play levels that don't auto scroll. I only want to play levels that look like New Super Mario Brothers, right? So you can do that. Or if you just Google best Super Mario Maker 2 levels, there are all kinds of lists that have already been aggregated for you. And they give you the friend, or not the friend code, they give you the course code. You just got to put those 9 digits into the game and then it pulls up that level, right? So it's super easy to find awesome levels, which is how I found some of these. So we'll go with this one. And again, you can narrow it down from I only want to play to people. I only want to play levels of people within a, I don't know, 50-mile radius of me, or I can play levels from all over the world, right? So we're going to try this one out. So what you can see on this screen is that the person who finished this game fastest did it in 49 seconds. There's a clear rate of 16%, so only 16% of playthroughs end in a completed level. So let's give it a shot. I don't know if you noticed the play together icon there as well. So again, if I was playing with 1, 2, or 3 other people, we could play this together. All right, user create a level. Let's see what they come up with. Volume up here a smidge. There we go. All right. So they had an enemy over here that was kind of, programmed to do a certain thing. Oh, no. Wait, am I? Okay. I thought I died. I did. I did indeed not survive. All right, here we go. Right. So again, lots of use of switches here for very... Remember when I told you I'm not necessarily good at video games? We'll give this one more shot because there's some cool stuff later on I want to show you. Now, in story mode, I showed you where you could kind of cheat the system and get, put a star in the level or put a mushroom in the level. You cannot do that with other people's levels. You have to play them as is. What's the old saying? Like, as soon as you try to show someone something, it doesn't work. That's me. I'm not working right now. All right. I did practice. Here we go. So as soon as I hit this switch, you can see that Bow Wow is going to go. So they just like essentially set up a series of traps for you. That's our checkpoint right there. Oof. It's close. Okay. Okay. So some of the things you're seeing, I got this checkpoint. Don't worry, we're not going all the way back to the beginning. You're seeing some of the special effects that you can actually add in. So like that N64 logo right there. You can see these cat paws coming into a bunch of things. Those are some of the special effects that you can add. Here in a minute, I've created half of a level that you guys are going to help me finish. So here in a minute, I'll kind of show you how you would add those. All right, we're going to give this one more shot before we move on to the next one. Oh, I keep trying to go the wrong way. Okay, you got to get the idea, though. Oh, but I'm stubborn, so we're going to do this one last time. Thankfully, it's quick. There we go. There we go. Okay. So you can see, like, he kind of set up all of these things that are intended to be, you know, weapons and obstacles to kind of work together here. I think it's pretty ingenious. All right, we're going to exit this one. So that's one example of some really cool stuff that you could do. Something completely different now. Oh, I want to go back. This, to me, is absolutely genius. If you happen to be a little bit older or you're familiar with the old 3D PC games where you would see like an image in the box of a first-person view, but it was all actually flat and it was just like, you know, perspective making you see that it was 3D. RPGs were done this way. This is kind of an homage to that. So we're going to go into this house. So the top left of your screen, that's like what you're seeing from a first-person perspective. The bottom is your map, so we're on the first floor, and then we've got a map right there. And now I'm going to choose which direction. So if I go straight forward, we're going to go upstairs to the second floor, or I can go to the left or the right. So let's see. We're going to go to the right. So what we did is you can see the this red block on the bottom left is kind of our marker on the map. Still on the first floor. This is now what we see directly in front of us. Some sort of odd looking door. So let's see what happens when we go through that door. So we can go straight ahead through the door, or we can turn right. So let's go straight ahead. So again, your kids, when they're making their levels, they can be finding these levels on the internet and getting all kinds of inspiration for unique ways. So here's a locked door. There's a locked door ahead of us. If we were to go straight, I see that we're on the basement now. So that door we just went through was actually an elevator to the basement. We don't have the key, so we got to go back. So we're going back up the elevator. We're back on the first floor. Let's take a right this time instead of going down the elevator. So we're going to take a right. Okay, it looks like we're going down a hallway. Our only option is to turn left. See, I can't go this way. I can only go left. Oh, and there is a key coin. I need that, right? Okay, so I'm gonna, the only way to get that is to jump on these guys right here. With crazy precision. Okay, one more shot. Famous last words, right? There we go. I got the key. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to that elevator. And we're going to go back down to the basement. There's the locked door in front of us. Oh, no, I only have, okay. So in the top right, there's the spot for the 3. You can see where there could be 3 coins. I only have 1. So we're gonna have to keep exploring the mansion. You can kind of hear that banging. There must be something behind that door, right? So just the ridiculous imagination required to create something like this is mind-boggling to me. So let's see, let's go up the stairs. Now we're on the 2nd floor. You can see here, 2nd floor is not very big. There's a bow wow directly in front of us, and to the right there is a vine going up. So let's go to the right. Okay, looks like we're gonna go through this warp pipe over here. And now we're outside of, we've made it to the roof of the mansion. And again, if we were going to continue playing, we would be working our way through the mansion to find those coins. But I never thought I would play a 2D Mario game that made me do things like that, right? So really, really creative uses here. Let's see. All right, we got about 15 minutes left. So I want to show you guys a course that I have made but not quite completed. And let's see. I'm going to have you guys help me finish it and give me some ideas. So we're going to go over here to Course Maker. I'm sorry, to our course bot. Oh, we're already there. Excuse me. We're going to go to My Courses. So, and then we have our Pop Culture Classroom incomplete. Nope, we're just going to play it right now. So before you upload a level to the internet, you have to actually prove that it can be beaten. So you have to beat it yourself before it can be uploaded. All right. One thing you'll notice here is we've got some lava moving up and down, right? So I'll show you how I did that real quick. We're going to go over here to edit. So on certain levels, so on the castle level and on the forest level, you have a either lava in the castle or a swamp in the forest that can move. It can be continuously moving upward, again, giving you that sense of like, oh God, I gotta move. Or it can move up and down. And the way you do that, so since I'm already on the castle level, I can select my lava. And so what I did is, let's see, I came over here. This is the your marker for your standard level, right? And then I said that it's going to go down here. So it can move one direction. Right now, I just changed that arrow to one directional. So if I were to hit start, it would only, the lava would start at that mid-level and then move its way down. Or if I do this, that means it is now going to move down and up. Okay. Let's see here. And I'll kind of show you, I'll play a little bit of this and show you what we've got so far. So our lava goes down to reveal some pipes. Okay. Start with this one, the red pipe. Some risk reward here, right? I could flip this red switch and get all of those extra lives, but then of course I'm risking the bombs. Thankfully, I'm a good designer and I put in secrets. We've got a star here. There we go. You will notice some intentional flaws in this design, though, so look out for things that might be missing or things that you think should be added to this level for any reason. Remember, this is now, I may have started it, but this one's now a collaborative project. We're making this one together. Okay, so let's go down the yellow tube. All right, so here, so when you die, when you're actually making levels, if you die, it automatically puts you directly into your making screen so that you can make any adjustments. Or I can just start back again here. So I don't have to like go back all the way to the beginning of the level if I don't want to. So let's just go ahead and start back again here. Okay, so I've got this guy that can lead us up here. Put a little arrow there to help people know where to go. We're just gonna keep on going. But I am noticing that my level is a little hard. There's some hard parts to it. So what are some things that we could do if we notice that I'm not having as much fun because it's too hard for me? What are some things that you guys think that we could do? I'll be looking for your suggestions in the chat. There's your hammer bro for you, by the way. Okay, so red pipe, yellow pipe didn't get us anywhere. Let's try the green one. All right, we've got some obstacles. We've got some key coins. Remember, to unlock the red door, you have to get all the coins. Don't get eaten by the boo. Go through the door. All right, now we've got some stuff here. First, let's get the checkpoint. We got this brilliant special effect. But I notice I cannot do anything. I can't get anywhere. Even if I turn off this red switch, I still cannot get down to the warp pipe. So let's get our coins. Let's see what we got here. Oh. Thankfully, I'm still in designing mode, and I can just stop back in. Okay. So I'm going to use this guy. Let's go flip those switches again. And now I can get to... warp pipe, assuming I don't die first. Okay, and that's what I've got so far. So just to show you a couple of elements real quick. So first of all, you can adjust the length of your level. So this is a vertical level. You can also, or sorry, this is a horizontal level. You can also do a vertical level. This down here is the length of my level. So that's the goal right now. So right now, I am actually physically kind of close to the goal. And of course, we can put whatever obstacles we want to get the player there. But if I wanted to, I could also make this level a lot longer and extend the goal way out. The other thing that I did here is we created this using sub-levels, okay? So this is my work mat. This is the basically top level, right? This is where we start, and this is all that's there so far. So you can see you've got my starting point over here. Starting point over here, we've got our 3 pipes that we went down, and then we've got where we ended up. So that is the top level. So in order to achieve what we did... We're going to go down here and switch to the sub level. And you can only do 2. There's a 1 and a 2. And then, so I'm seeing a couple level IDs come through here, guys. What we'll do is we will continue building this for the next 10 minutes or so until about 5. And then after time, I'm more than happy to stay on and play your levels and give you some feedback. It will require me connecting to the internet, though. So I'll just need to do that real quick. Shouldn't be a big issue. So anyway, this is the sub level. I'll zoom out here so you can see. So it's a series of different rooms, right? So each of these pipes in this level is connected to a pipe in the other level, the top level. And so that's kind of how you can create what appears to be different spaces, right? This is a pretty big work mat. So if I wanted to, I could go, I think I made this one a vertical level. So I could go to this empty space up here on my work mat, and I could actually create, a separate room there that could only be accessed by a door. And to the player, they don't notice that it's on this same mat. To them, it just looks like a brand new room or something like that. This level's pretty crazy. Thank you. I will take that as a compliment. I didn't think I was doing too great. I was like, what else can I do? Okay. So let's see, I see a request for Hammer Bros. One thing that I know I am missing in this level that would definitely make it more fun would be some power-ups, right? I put that 1 star in there, but I think definitely putting... Oh, I trapped Mario unintentionally. Putting some mushrooms, putting some... I need you to move, bro. There we go. Putting some power-up mushrooms, putting some fire flowers, things like that will, A, let me not die in one hit, and B, give me a little bit more power as I get through the level might help. So let's see, let's say I want to go up here to my tools. I'm going to go to my items. Let's see, let's go fire flower. I can put that just over here. If I want to, I can put it inside of a block. Let's see. So I could get, say, like a special block, a question mark block, and then I can just drag and drop that to put it in there, right? So now when Mario starts this part of the level, we can get that fire flower. Yeah, help us for this section so much. but definitely later on, you know, it might be helpful to be able to actually do something against these dudes. Oh, and it still messed it up. Another cool thing they added to this game, I will show you here real quick. And actually, unfortunately, it can only be seen in the original Super Mario Brothers style. Thankfully, not a big deal. I can just switch that over real quick. Okay, so this is all the same content. Everything that I put there is still there. It just looks different now. We're gonna take that fire flower, or sorry, the power up mushroom. Look at one of these options that we have. Oh, look at that. And if we put that in there, let's see what happens. Don't die. Hey, great little cameo from one of our friends. Right, he can shoot arrows, he can throw bombs. So you can make literally entire levels that are just Zelda levels. I'll show you one of those. Since we're not really getting any suggestions on how to continue building, I think I've kind of demoed most of the things you can do on your workspace here. Agreed, Link rules. I may or may not have a Zelda tattoo. It's my favorite game series ever, so I love seeing Link in whatever they want to put him in. Maybe not Hyrule Warriors so much, but that is another conversation. Okay, so I want to show you like what someone did here. And then I will start looking up y'all's levels here in just a sec. This is another one of those genius things to me. That someone took the time to put all this together, and it's really well thought out. It's essentially a Zelda dungeon, okay? So you start out, you get your Master Sword. What do I do? How do I get to that warp pipe? Thankfully, Link has some bombs. And we can just tear our way through here. Now, here's what's brilliant, again, to me. We're officially in the dungeon. This part at the top right, though, is just a map. So that's not something you can actually get into and play around with. That's showing you where you are in the dungeon. So we are that red dot. And there's a couple of different doors that I could go through. I can go through the left door or the right door. The left one, if I go left, there's a blue square. So that makes me think there might be something over there. Let's see, can I... There we go. So that meant it is an underwater room. Okay, so now that red square moved, right? And so we are in the next part of this little makeshift Mario Zelda dungeon. No. So I mean, limits do not exist with this game. They exist a little bit, but you can create so much, and we haven't even gotten to the Super Mario 3D World part of the creation, which is its own suite of tools. Pop Culture Classroom, we are a nonprofit in Denver. You know, we do live streams all the time, whether it's, I think next week we're doing one on a Photoshop boot camp, right? 1 hour crash course in Photoshop. We've done art lessons on like perspective drawing, you know, how to create comics, how to use Roll20 to play D&D online. So that's just kind of what we're streaming right now, obviously, because we can't be in a classroom. You know, generally we do workshops here in the Denver area. We go out to schools and libraries. We have an on-site classroom, and that's where we do things, you know, all about cosplay, film and TV, board and video games, and comics, and activate the educational content behind that.